What is going on, guys? ScorpionSlayer66 here, coming at you for another month of vinyl pickups. Now, we are 1 month into the year of 2018, and it already sucks, but I picked up some really cool records and some things I thought I would never own in my entire life. So let's hop right into this. I wanted to start off with this because this means a lot to me. This is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's Polygon Dwanaland. Now, if you guys don't know, the band released 5 albums last year, and they actually gave this one away for free. Like, they gave up the copyrights so people could press their own CDs, vinyls, cassette, or whatever. And I got to handpick and design a copy for myself. So yeah, essentially the only thing that I didn't pick was the front cover because it's pretty obvious. But yeah, I got to like pick the side or the back artwork. I even got to pick like the inner label for the album. So yeah, very cool stuff. I went with a more like temple-y, like old schooly theme because it really fits in with the cover and what the whole album kind of sounds like to me. It's very mystical, it's very fantastical. So yeah, very happy, and thank you to Little Elephant Lath Cuts for doing this for me. I really appreciate it. This was a random Discogs purchase, and this is Open Mike Eagle's Dark Comedy. Now, Open Mike Eagle is definitely one of my favorite rappers working currently. His beat selections and his way that he uses his dry sense of humor, but a very open look at the world. It creates a string of just amazing albums that are so much fun to revisit because every time you go and you listen, you hear something new or you pick up on a new idea you didn't before. So yeah, amazing artwork on here as well. And even cooler is the vinyl itself, which is this beautiful yellow and green split. This sounds fantastic. Pretty much every Open Mike Eagle album is really well done when it comes to the vinyl pressings, and I cannot wait to get my copy of his newest album. I'm still waiting on my pre-order for that one. Next up, I went to a record store I rarely go to just because it's so far away and their stuff's a little bit pricier, but I had a coupon for $10 off my purchase. And yeah, so this is Tame Impala live versions. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel, I really love Tame Impala. They're definitely one of my favorite groups working right now, even though it's pretty much just Kevin Parker. But yeah, I absolutely love everything Tame Impala does pretty much, and I actually haven't never listened to this. I didn't even know that this existed. I thought it was some bootleg type thing, but it is actually a legitimate Tame Impala release. Even down to here, it's a funny little thing like thanking the record buyers and all that stuff, and it's just like a fun little personal touch that Kevin put on it that I really appreciate. So yeah, I've listened to the first half of this at this point, and I really enjoyed what I heard so far, but I haven't gotten a chance to spin this in full. So yeah, very excited to do that when I finally do. This was something I was very excited to pick up. I picked this up at the same time I picked up that Tame Impala Live. This is the Madcap Laughs by Syd Barrett. Now, Syd Barrett is a genius musician. He really doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my personal opinion. He only lasted with Pink Floyd for 1 album and 1 song on another album, but I really think that that album and just Barrett's influence are so underappreciated by most people. Really beautiful artwork on here, just super trippy, dark type stuff. So yeah, this is some really amazing, like, acoustic, just folky, not even folky, just like very stripped back, lo-fi type of like psychedelic, like acoustic stuff, and it's just really great. The man was on his last hinges with this album, and you can definitely tell that this was a man near his breaking point. This next one is also one that I haven't gotten a chance to spin yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. This is Soft Cell's Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret. Now, obviously, Tainted Love is like one of the biggest songs of its time, and it's still a well-beloved song, but I've heard from many people that this album is most definitely worth exploring outside of that song. So when I saw this original copy, I definitely had to grab it. It comes with the original inner sleeve. It has all like the notes and like the lyrics. So yeah, very cool stuff. It is on Sire Records, those classic yellow labels there. But yeah, again, I haven't listened to this yet, but I remember seeing Anthony Fantano talk about it when he did his Amoeba What's in My Bag. So yeah, I'm very excited, and this is like the first time I've ever seen this album out in the wild. This was one I was super stoked to pick up. This was actually a reduced down price copy of Nico's Chelsea Girl. Now, obviously, if you guys, again, have watched the channel, you know that The Velvet Underground and Nico is my all-time favorite album, and I think Nico's solo stuff really flies by a lot of people's radar. But yeah, this was sitting at my record store like forever, I guess, and I just never noticed it, and eventually they reduced the price down. I think I paid like 13 or 14 bucks for this. But yeah, this is just some gorgeously arranged, produced, really well done, like kind of dark, like pop kind of stuff. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's just very, very intense. It's very different from a lot of the popular stuff that was going on during the day. So yeah, I definitely want to get more of Nico's solo stuff because I think albums like Marble Index are also absolutely amazing. But yeah, very stoked to finally have at least one piece of her discography. Another one I haven't listened to yet, this is Mahavishnu Orchestra's Birds of Fire. Now, I obviously love Intermountain Flame, which we will talk about in a moment. But yeah, I've heard a lot of amazing things about this one. The guy that owns the record store told me that this one is pretty much just as good as Intermountain Flame, if not maybe like a little bit better in certain regards. But yeah, absolutely awesome. I think I picked this up for like $6 or something like that. But yeah, an original copy, comes with the original inner sleeves, replicates like newspaper type stuff. But yeah, super awesome. And this comes on those old school red Columbia labels. But yeah, really cool stuff. I mean, Mahavishnu, it's just jazz rock fusion type stuff at some of its peak. So I'm very excited to hop into this one when I can. As I just kind of foreshadowed in the previous one, here we have Mahavishnu Orchestra with John McLaughlin's Intermountain Flame. Now, this album is absolutely monstrous. This is jazz rock fusion at some of its peak stuff going on here. Obviously, John McLaughlin was known for playing with Miles Davis on albums like Bitches Brew. And yeah, he just brings a lot of fucking talent to this. And it creates this like grand, kind of epic, just really amazing jazz rock stuff. This is an original pressing, again, on those old school Columbia labels, so very cool stuff. Again, I think I only paid like $6 or $7 for this, and even without me like knowing this album for a couple years, I was always looking out for it just because it always had so much praise from what I've seen, so having a copy is really awesome for me to finally have. I was absolutely obsessed with this band during the month of January, and I finally picked up a copy of this gem. This is King Crimson's Red. Now, King Crimson has 3 masterpieces in my opinion, and this was the last one I wanted for my collection that I didn't have yet. I really can't like do justice to what King Crimson's music does to me. It's just so intricately played and layered, and it's so dense, and there's so much to explore and find in a lot of the major Crimson albums that it's kind of just something you have to experience. This is a newer pressing, but it replicates those old like pink labels on like Island and stuff like that. But yeah, I was really obsessed with King Crimson. I even bought like the iTunes versions of Court of the Crimson King, Larks, and Red. And I never buy digital downloads, but of course, Robert Fripp doesn't allow his music on streaming and or YouTube. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but this is an absolutely incredible album, a must listen. And I feel like pretty much everybody that has a record collection should own this album. Next up is a $2 bin find I was very happy about. This is Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick. Now, obviously, with me saying I like King Crimson during the month, I was listening to a lot of prog rock stuff, especially like the classic prog stuff. And yeah, I came across this original copy, and surprisingly, it still had all of the like newspaper in it. So yeah, if you guys don't know, later pressings didn't have this. It's like a full-fledged newspaper in here. And what's even funnier is I was holding a much later pressing in my hand, and I actually went through the $2 bin section and found this original. So yeah, very cool stuff. I mean, Jethro Tull, one of the more iconic prog groups, especially for albums like Aqualung, and definitely this one. But yeah, I didn't have this one yet, so I was very happy to finally add it. I finally grabbed a copy of this. This is Outkast's ATLiens. Now, I'm only missing Idlewild to have all of the Outkast releases, but yeah, really unpopular opinion, but this is one of my lesser favorite Outkast albums. I still think it's absolutely amazing, and the production and the stylistic choice that they took to go after their debut was really bold for them to do. But yeah, this is just one I come back to less than the others. But I mean, there's some absolute fucking bangers on this album. Obviously, ATLiens is wild. Elevators became one of the biggest songs of their career. So yeah, really good stuff. Outkast, definitely the best hip-hop duo that's ever existed. I just absolutely pretty much love everything they've ever done, and I'm very happy to have almost the full studio set in my collection. Another thing I was really big into was extreme metal during the month of January, and yeah, I finally picked up a copy of Electric Wizard's Dope Throne. Now, if you guys don't know, this is some really sludgy, heavy, doomy, like stoner metal type stuff. Really awesome package design. If you guys have followed the channel for a while, you'll know that I love my neutral colors with just little hits of color like on the back here. But yeah, absolutely brutal fucking album if you've never listened to this. The vocals are so dissonant, everything is just so kind of anarchistic, if that's even a word. But everything is just so distanced, and everything feels so apocalyptic and doomy, and you just feel like there's this huge sense of dread on this whole thing. So yeah, this is definitely an extreme metal masterpiece in my opinion. This album just absolutely annihilates me every time I hear it. So Bjork is one of my all-time favorite artists, so I obviously had to pick this up at some point. This is Bjork's Utopia. Now, this was definitely one of my favorite albums of last year. I mean, Bjork really can do no wrong, so I definitely wanted to pick this up and support the queen herself. Really love the packaging on this. It's super glossy, but like the pastel-y colors really lend to the gloss itself, and that continues onto the inside with two pictured sleeves. One of them has like a cute little handwritten note from Bjork, and both sides on the other side are just lyrics. And it comes with a download, which every fucking album that comes out now should have them. But yeah, just really great stuff. I mean, Erykah, I'm not a huge fan of his album that came out last year. I enjoyed it, but not as heavily as most people. But he really lent his sound a lot with Bjork's, and they created a really good chemistry together. And I feel like they could do a lot of cool stuff in the future. Next up, we have Charles Mingus with Mingus Now, obviously, I really don't need to talk about this man. Mingus is an absolute genius, and everybody who knows about jazz, even the slightest bit, knows this man and what he did for the jazz world. I've just been looking for this for a while, and I haven't found a copy that I was happy either with the price with or the condition. So I kind of just settled and found a more modern reissue. It sounds really nice. I'm really happy that I picked this one up. And yeah, I mean, again, jazz music's kind of hard to describe. Anytime like I pick up jazz music, I usually say this. For me, it's really hard to describe jazz unless it's something that created just like a cultural shift or like a sea change for the genre, because it's mainly instrumentals. You know, I could like talk for hours about what each of these instruments is doing and all the music theory stuff behind it. It's just really good jazz music, and this is obviously one of the most beloved jazz albums of all time, so if you haven't heard it, you definitely need to. This was definitely one of the favorite things I picked up this month. This is Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind. Now, I've been looking for this album for like years now. It's been really hard for me to get a hold of, but they finally did a repressing of it last year, and I couldn't be more happy. This was the beginning of the second wind or third wind of Bob Dylan's career in the late 90s and early 2000s. And yeah, this is definitely my favorite of that newer trilogy of albums that is much beloved by fans. And what's cool about this reissue is it actually comes with a 7-inch of a remix of Lovesick, which is arguably the best song on the album. But yeah, it was just really cool that they included this, especially since people had been waiting forever for this to be reissued. And they really did take their time with it. I mean, each of the sleeves is pictured, and it's just really beautiful artwork, and a lot of it really describes the tone of this. Like, it's very gruff, it's very raw, but it's still Bob Dylan at heart with those insane lyrics that everybody loves to discuss. But yeah, absolutely Stoked to have this album finally, and this sounds amazing. So if you've been looking for this album, buy the 2017 reissue. One of the most important groups to my music listening history, this is Kraftwerk with The Man Machine. Now, Trans Europe Express kind of shifted how I thought about music a little bit. It introduced me to electronic music and actually got me engaged in the genre, because I grew up in the era of really shit electronic music and just remixes and all that stuff. So hearing this just absolutely blew my mind. And I've been looking for this album for years. Again, I've been looking for this for years, but I was really happy I waited, because I found this cool copy that comes with like an art book. It's just a lot of like photographs from the band, and yeah, these are creepy and they're very cold and calculated, but it fits the aesthetic of the record, so very cool. And again, the record actually comes in the sleeve that is like the alternate cover art for this, if I remember correctly, so very cool stuff. This sounds absolutely amazing. The early like analog electronic stuff, a lot of the time, really makes my ears happy. It just has like a certain tone to it that always makes me appreciate it so much more when I listen to it on vinyl. But yeah, absolutely amazing album. Definitely one of the best by Kraftwerk, but I mean, pretty much every album they made is absolutely essential. Next up, we have Erykah Badu's Baduism. Now, this is kind of just like a generic sleeve type of thing. But yeah, Erykah Badu, I really don't think I need to say much, especially people around my age or like a little bit older than me. She made some of the most absolutely essential like neo soul type stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, really great stuff. Baduism is probably my favorite from her. And yeah, it comes on like this really cool like Kedar Universal Entertainment label. I've never seen labels like this before. But yeah, it's a really great album. Erykah's voice is just smooth as silk. And these instrumentals are just so sensual, kind of sexual in a way even. They're very gorgeous. They sound like melted chocolate almost a lot of the time. It's just very smooth, very groovy type stuff. So yeah, I was definitely excited to finally find this. Adding more to my jazz collection, this is Miles Davis' Birth of the Cool. Now, if you guys don't know, this album essentially was kind of credited with the starting of the cool jazz genre, hence the name Birth of the Cool. This was a bunch of stuff that he was doing, and eventually it kind of got compended together to make this amazing compilation. So yeah, I don't own many compilations, but this is one that I highly, highly, highly recommend. Next up, we have Heathen by David Bowie. Definitely one of his better later era albums. I mean, obviously Black Star is amazing, but this was definitely one of the better albums in his discography up to that amazing final album. Bowie was just really into experimenting at this time, and songs like Slow Burn and Cactus are just so different from the rest of his discography that it makes this one really stand out to me. And the pressing comes with this cool like artwork here. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's just very creepy. I love the coloring, and it's laid out really well. And on the back is the track listing, some liner notes and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely one of the better Bowie albums in my opinion in terms of the post Berlin trilogy and Ziggy trilogy type stuff. So yeah, amazing album, and I'm very happy that people are starting to recognize this album for how amazing it is. Next up, we have Joy Division's Substance. Now, if you guys don't know, these were kind of leftovers or demos or outtakes or early stuff that wasn't heard on like Unknown Pleasures and Closer. So yeah, this is really cool stuff. I mean, it has like their first EP on it, which I do have separately, but yeah, just really great stuff. It is a double LP set here, and they come with their own individual sleeves if you want to replace them with the paper sleeves, which is a nice option. But yeah, Joy Division, one of the most groundbreaking bands of all time, one of the most important bands to me personally. So this was obviously going to be in my collection at some point. Adding more to my Nick Drake collection, this is Brighter Later. Now, obviously Pink Moon is a masterpiece. That album has become one of the most beloved albums of all time, especially in like the last 10 or 15 years. But I really think a lot of his early stuff gets super overshadowed, especially this one. It's nothing like Pink Moon. It's a lot more ambitious, robust, kind of lavish, like pop, like acoustic folk music, but a lot of the stuff on here is absolutely amazing. And what I love about this specific reissue is actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this off, but as a really like textured cover, it kind of looks like it's like old, like, and it's like scrunched together. It's really cool. And the inner sleeve, just like my Pink Moon reissue, replicate the original sleeves that they came in. And it comes with a download, which is, again, essential to any new reissues or new albums coming out. But yeah, if you guys have only ever listened to Pink Moon, I highly encourage listening to this, and then you might as well listen to 5 Leaves Left. All right, so I'm not even gonna like joke with you guys. These last 2 things are absolutely incredible for me to have in my collection. This first one is a promotional copy of the Pixies Doolittle. Now, this album needs no introduction. It's huge, but again, like I said, it is a promotional copy. It says it right there, and I will get out the record in a second. It is stamped on the sleeve, or on the record itself as well. Comes with the original inner sleeves, as would make sense. But yeah, this was an absolutely astonishing find. I think I paid a grand total of like $35 for it. But yeah, absolutely amazing thing for me to own in my collection. And I never thought I would own anything like this, at least for albums that I genuinely care about. But yeah, amazing album. I already had a reissue copy of it, but finding a promotional original press is obviously 1,000 times cooler. So yeah, absolutely amazing find for me. I honestly can't believe I'm holding this in my hand, but this is a still in the shrink wrapping copy of Goo by Sonic Youth. Now, if you guys don't know, this is one of my all-time favorite albums. I absolutely adore everything about it, and it's a little hard to find on vinyl, especially this original pressing that I have here. But yeah, again, it's still in the shrink wrap, but pretty much everything is absolutely minty, minty, mint on these original Geffen labels here that those Nirvana records were on as well. But yeah, I can't really say much. It's an original, it's worth a lot. I definitely didn't pay anywhere near what it goes for. And yeah, this is absolutely one of the favorite things in my collection. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this month of vinyl pickups. Let me know down in the comments what was your favorite thing I picked up. And also, while you're here, I started a new channel with my good buddy 64-Bit for Life called The Vinyl Corner. If you guys would take a minute and check that out, we would very much so appreciate it. We have a lot of content coming, and yeah, we're very excited for this new venture. So yeah, thank you guys in advance if you check that out. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, guys, take care.